Welcome back. You're still watching The Breakfast Show. Now, there's been a lot of talk about conservation and sustainable development in recent years, and someone like Aisha here will vouch for the fact that protecting the environment for your kids is one of the best retirement plans any person can invest in.
Exactly. Now, there are also many programs that teach young people about caring for Mother Earth. And this morning, we're going to tell you about one of them, one that combines education about both the Earth and what some people say makes the planet go around.
Yes. And joining us this morning to tell us about their program are directors from Trees, Leela, Panickar and Christa Hashim, and the head of corporate communications from AFFINBANK, Berhad, Teoh. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Good morning. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Really fantastic program, first of all, I'd like to say. Now, could you first of all tell us a little bit about the Young Voices for Conservation? Now, that's the name of the program, yeah? Do tell us a little bit about that, and also about Trees too.
Okay. Trees, we're a non-profit environment organization. Christa and I set it up about 15 years ago, and we focus on the community. How do we get the community active in the environment? Because a lot of times when you talk to people, they say, I'm just an individual, I'm just an ordinary person. How can I do anything for the environment? So what we try to do is we try to educate them, bring up their knowledge and say, look, it's your everyday actions that actually impact on the environment.
Yes, yes,
Think about yourself, and that will help the environment enormously. When you look at Young Voices for Conservation, that's an offshoot of it, and it focuses on the youth, and we target the schools. And what it does is it unleashes the spirit and this potential that the students have, and harnesses that energy they have and get them to focus on the environment. And it helps them discover what they have. Basically, all these young students, they have a lot of energy, but they are not focused. So our
directing, channeling them.
Yeah, channeling them. And what they find from our program is it's amazing what they can do, what they can achieve. And at the end of the program, a lot of them say, we never knew we could do this.
Right.
You know?
It's fantastic. Now, this is not the first time, of course, you've done this, but this year you've teamed up with AFFINBANK for another aspect of this program. Tell us about that.
AFFINBANK, the role of AFFINBANK in this program is that we provide the financial planning knowledge for the kids. In the workshops that we have, we basically tell them, you need to have a budget.
Yes.
When you have a budget for a project, you need to keep track of your budget. How do you keep track? Money in, money out, and how much at the end of the day you have. Because the seed money that we give, 500 each to the team, you know, they really have to keep track. They've got to have the statements, they've got to know what they spend and how did they profit from it.
Okay. Now, Christa, Kim was mentioning just then that the money is given to teams, so probably you could tell us a little bit about the project, what exactly these kids have to do. Now, they're assuming they form a team and they're given money, and what do they have to do then?
Okay, their main goal is to run their environment campaign at their school. They have about a week to 2 weeks to run it, and really what they do, it's up to them. So that's what this whole program is about, giving them the time and opportunity to figure out what do they need to tell their classmates. So they're the mentors, and then they develop the program. They find out what activities do their classmates like, do they not like, and how can they use this to spread the environment message. So they do so many different things also throughout the 2 weeks.
So it really encourages creative thinking as well. It's not just caring for the environment and financial planning. That's creative thinking.
Exactly. Teamwork, leadership, so many aspects involved in this. So that's really cool. Could you give us some examples of possibly some campaigns that they might want to start? And do they have any guidance from Trees, or do you work with a specific teacher in the school?
Right. The program for the secondary schools, it's all student-driven, right? And it's run by project teams because we emphasize teamwork as well, because we say you have to learn to work with each other. I mean, when you grow up, that's what we all do as well. So we have teacher advisors, and the program is very structured. We don't just tell them, okay, this is your campaign, run it. We first have capacity building workshops where we actually tell them what the program is all about. And we have different experts coming in their different fields, because that's what Trees is all about as well. It's about working with, partnering different people and different organizations, getting them involved in our programs, and then running these programs as well. So we get input, we network with everyone. So For example, in the financial planning, we have AFFINBANK. For the forestry part, we work with the forestry department. For the water part, we work with LUAS, which is the Lembaga Urus Ais Lango. And we also have the approval of the Ministry of Education as well, which is very important when you work with schools.
Oh, yes.
So with all this, it's all about partnering people and bringing them in and providing the expertise. So during the workshops, these experts come in and teach the students about what the environment is all about. So Affin, for example, will run one session on financial planning. We might have someone coming in on forest, someone coming on, and also then we then go on our proposal. What is the campaign all about? So we tell them, how do you write a proposal? What do you need to do? Before you write a proposal, what do you need to have to do?
Yes.
You have to go out. First of all, you have to identify who your target is.
Yes, your market research,
Right.
right.
So they learn all those things. How do you do a survey? You'll be amazed. They don't even know how to do. They never learned how to do a
At the
survey.
end of it all, they learn so much. So
Yes.
the past results, has there been a campaign or a program that run by these kids that's actually stumped you? What's come out of this?
We've had so many good programs. I mean, the students, we've had schools now, they've been running their composting, which they started. It's the canteen waste, which I think is an amazing feat. They actually had to go and they talked to the people in the canteen who are preparing the food and everything, keep it separate, get it into the bin, and until today, it's still running. They started rainwater harvesting. Another school also, they were looking at the amount of waste in the canteen. They spoke with the principal and the canteen operators. They got them to stop using disposables and go back to the washables and everything. So really very impressive feats also that they accomplished. And like Leela said in the beginning, they didn't think they could achieve it. We were also a bit worried, but they said, no, we want to try. And they were persistent and they did it.
Wow. Now, what's the span of this project? They are given 3 months from the first sit-down capacity building and then until
6 months.
6 months.
6 months.
You have about 2 months of capacity building workshops. They go for one and then they come for a second one. We even take them on field trips so that they learn what the forest is all about. Because so many of our urban students have never been to the forest before. So they go to the forest, they learn, that actually builds that bond. After that, they send in their proposal and we go through it. And we actually also tell them what's wrong with it, what they need to improve and everything. And then once it's approved, we give them the seed money. They then implement their programs. During the implementation, it's not just running your program. It's also monitoring your program, trying to find out whether it's working, what you need to do to get it right if it's not working. So that's a very important thing, monitoring and evaluation as well. And then at the end of the campaign, we even have facilitators coming to see how they actually do it, and they get points for that as well. Right? So we go to their school and see what they do. Right?
Now, this program, does it just cater to schools in the Klang Valley, or is it nationwide? And how do schools get involved? How do they participate?
At the moment, it's focused on schools in KL, Putrajaya, and Selangor. And they can go into Tree's website and download the registration form and actually apply through that way. Just fax in their registration form.
All right. Now, obviously, Trees has been doing this for quite some time, but AFFINBANK, it's your first time working with Trees. Now, what was it about this project that made AFFINBANK actually decide that, yes, let's take part? And what is your stand, actually, as a company about conservation of the environment?
It's more towards our CSR direction. We are actually very targeted in what we want to do and what we want to achieve. There was basically two focus, which was for the youth, Malaysian youth, and of course for education. Now, when we look at this, Tree's proposal program, Young Conservation Program, fits perfectly with what we wanted to do. And we thought that, AFFINBANK should partner this, and I have to give credit to my MD CEO, Dr. Zulkifli Abbas, because he was the one who said that, let's go for this. It's a great program for the children, and it's a great way to make sure that the children are also financially savvy about projects. When we look at their program, we said that, okay, we want to be more involved. How we want to be more involved is that we want to give knowledge to the children, how they could actually have basics, accounting basics, financial planning, budgeting, and you need to have this.
Yeah.
You need to be money savvy, you know, in that
It's
sense.
all great about talking about saving the environment, but if you don't watch your, the way you do it, then you're in trouble
how
anyway.
you spend it, that's it.
Exactly. They say most of the waste comes from our buying and packaging, so it's just being a smart, being a smart shopper and spender.
But over the years, as people who've run this course, do you find that students are not only understanding more about the environment, but are they creating a bond? Do they feel some sort of connection to what people have been talking about for years now?
Most definitely. It really helps keep Leela and I very young because the spirit and energy that they have is fantastic. And they're so passionate, and it's really nice to see. And I think also with this program, it helps them to find a way to channel this feeling that they have, and it also helps to awaken them. They realize that there's this problem, but they don't realize the smallest thing, throwing the rubbish, all around. So many of them have come back to tell us, Auntie, we didn't think, but now suddenly, anytime I see the paper or my friends throwing, I feel so bad, and I tell them, don't throw it anymore. So it's very small things, but it really is, that's the most basic step also. So it's so nice to see, and the passion that comes out of them.
I think eventually from the knowledge that they gain from this, they'll take it home, they'll educate their parents. But probably could you share with us, what was their basic understanding when probably some of the students first joined this project? We always talk about the hot topic is about climate change and all that, but do they understand what is really going on, and what role do they play initially when you first start talking to them?
It's like one of the students said, when we first started the program, we were oblivious about the environment, about what we were actually doing to it, and actually what was the problem about the environment, what was going on, the issues and everything. But by the end of the program, they understood that there were a lot of issues affecting the environment, and that everyone had a role to play, whether you were young, old, we all had a role to play. And what this program does is it gives that foundation. We're telling them, your kids, do what you can. Don't try and save the world and all. Look at what you are doing to the environment, and just do it one step at a time. And that's the most important thing.
It's also a great way to start.
Exactly, that's how you start, actually, one small step. Now, how, probably if you could give some advice to parents out there, or, how exactly would you get, or, educate your kids about, conserving the environment? Where do you start? I mean, of course, with NGOs like Trees around, that's one way, but, should it be the responsibility of the schools? Should it be the parents? How do you get this ball rolling, actually?
I think parents have a very important role to play. We have students who've come and said, I never throw paper because my mom taught me since I was young that if I had a piece of paper, put it in the pocket
first
until you find a dustbin. So the first educators are your parents. So they set the ball rolling. Take your kids out to the forest. Let them play in the streams. Let them learn what it's all about. Understand the outdoors, because we just stay and go to the shopping malls. You miss a lot. When we take the primary school students to the forest, all they think about is, when can we swim in the river? From morning, because they only do it in the afternoon, and it's just that excitement. And then when they get into the water, oh my goodness, you can't get them out of the water, and the laughter and the joy you see in their faces makes it all worthwhile.
Great. Well, thank you so much, ladies, for being with us this morning. It's a great program you're running. And if you'd like to find out more, log on to www.trees.org.my. Registration is still open, and you can do that till, when is the closing date?
Middle of February.
Mid-February. So get online and get those your students registered.
Exactly. Thank you once again, ladies, for being on the show.